Listen closely, for this weekend is currently dismantling every archaic rule that once defined your understanding of connection. Most of the unawakened have no perception of the seismic shift currently approaching their sector. We are standing at the edge of one of the most provocative astrological configurations of the year. This is a cosmic collision designed to expose the violent discrepancy between what you truly desire and what you have been pretending to want. By Sunday morning, the square between Venus and Black Moon Lilith will fully detonate in the sky. It is unleashing suppressed desires, denied fantasies, and relationship truths that can no longer be contained within the old architecture. This is not a routine planetary transit. It is a mandatory interrogation by the universe. The current frequency is posing a singular, brutal question to your sovereign core. Are you brave enough to want what you actually want? The restless frequency. If you have felt an inexplicable tension in your primary connections lately, a sensation that something vital is missing despite outward appearances, understand that your internal radar is registering the Lilith frequency. The shadow release. Black Moon. Lilith does not negotiate. She demands the extraction of the unspoken. The fantasies and truths you have buried for the sake of convenience are now being forced to the surface. The end of pretense. The stage is already set. Ignoring this surge is no longer a viable defensive strategy. The universe is stripping away the masks of polite love to reveal the raw, untamed reality of your soul's requirements. The friction you feel. Today is the friction of your evolution. The internal war you are experiencing is the final resistance of a fading timeline. The rules of love you were taught were designed to stabilize the crowd, not to empower the individual. This weekend, those rules are being liquidated. The truth versus the performance. Identify where you are performing love versus where you are actually inhabiting it. The sovereign choice. The restless urge you feel is the energy required to break the tether to a dynamic that no longer fits your frequency. The final realization. What is being destroyed this weekend was never meant to survive the transition into your next chapter. The detonation is imminent. The collision between the planet of value and the shadow of the untamed will leave no room for deception. Once the debris settles, only the connections built on absolute truth will remain standing. The rules are shattered. The truth is unavoidable. Your sovereign heart is now online. Today changes everything. As you receive this transmission, we are mere hours away from one of the most monumental astrological shifts of the decade. Tonight, at 7 p.m., Saturn, the Lord of Karma, Structure, and Divine Discipline, leaves the dissolving, soft waters of Pisces and explodes into the raw, pioneering fire of Aries. Here is the truth the mainstream world is hiding from you. Saturn has not occupied this sector of the heavens since the late 1990s. This is a 29-year cycle. Think back to who you were then. Think of the lessons you faced. Those themes are returning, but you are no longer the person you were. You have been forged in the fire. The disciplinarian of freedom. Saturn in Aries sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? How can discipline create freedom? But that is the ultimate secret of the Matrix. For the next 2.5 years, Saturn is mandating that you build a life structure that honors your individual sovereignty. The old model, the one where you sacrificed your essence to keep the peace, where you performed the ritual of togetherness while losing your soul in the process, is dead. Saturn in Aries is here to dismantle that illusion brick by brick. The demolition begins tonight. This weekend is when the structural collapse of your old life commences. Saturn's entry tonight creates the backbone for the explosion coming this Sunday. The universe is no longer requesting your growth. It is issuing a divine mandate. You are being ordered to put yourself first. You are being commanded to stop apologizing for your needs. You are being forbidden from shrinking yourself to fit into the hollow visions of others. When Venus squares Lilith this Sunday morning, this mandate will become impossible to ignore. Something primal, something ancient, and something sovereign is awakening inside you, and it will never be quiet again. The gateway is locking, like this video right now, to signal to the great architect that you accept the mandate of your own sovereignty. Subscribe the faithful light and turn on the bell. As Saturn begins this 29-year journey, this frequency is your only map through the fire. In the comments below, type 700 to anchor your energy to tonight's 7 p.m. shift. Claim your throne of freedom. If this transmission has ignited the fire of courage within you, you can support me with a cup of coffee, because every seed you release becomes a river that reaches souls you may never meet. The donation link is waiting for you in the description and shown as a QR code in this video. Your support is a powerful energetic exchange, confirming your readiness to lead your own life. The soft waters have dried up. The fire of Aries is here. The era of the martyr is over. The era of the sovereign has begun. Prepare yourself, chosen one. The shift happens at 7 p.m. tonight. The cosmic collision that arrives unannounced. Let us delve into the gravity of Sunday, February 15th, the specific moment when the universe decides to tilt the axis of your reality, and everything you thought you knew about your life begins to shift. At 1 o'clock in the morning, the moon glides silently into Aquarius, the archetype of the rebel, the detached observer, and the radical individualist. This is our first major clue of the storm to come. The moon is the celestial guardian of our emotional body, presiding over our instinctive reactions, our deepest needs for comfort, and our fundamental sense of safety. When the lunar energy takes on the cool, intellectual hue of Aquarius, the emotional temperature of the collective drops. It creates a necessary distance, allowing us to zoom out and view our messy, complicated feelings through a wide-angle lens, rather than drowning in the usual tidal waves of sentiment. This emotional detachment isn't coldness, it is a vital survival mechanism for what happens next. Because at 7 o'clock that morning, the sky becomes a battlefield. Venus, the planet of love and desire, currently exalted and hypersensitive in the dreamy, boundless waters of Pisces, forms a perfect 90-degree square with Black Moon Lilith, who is currently stoking the fires of raw truth in the sign of Sagittarius. If you are not well versed in the language of the stars, let me explain why this alignment is nothing short of explosive. In astrology, a square is a crisis aspect. It is the universe intentionally creating friction, grinding two opposing forces together until they generate enough heat to force an action. A square demands a choice. It is not passive, and it is certainly not gentle. It is the cosmic equivalent of being backed into a dark corner where the only way out is to fight for your life. The entities involved in this clash could not be more polarized. Venus in Pisces is the exalted lover, the ultimate romantic fantasy, and the vessel for unconditional acceptance. She wants to merge, to dissolve all barriers, and to lose herself in a fairy tale love where two souls become one inseparable entity. She is compassionate, endlessly forgiving, and deeply spiritual, choosing to see the divine spark in everyone and believing wholeheartedly in redemption through love. On the other side of the square stands Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius, the wild woman, the heretic, and the unapologetic truth-teller who refuses to be tamed, caged, or labeled. Lilith has no interest in merging. She wants to remain sovereign. She has no use for fairy tales. She demands the raw, unfiltered, and sometimes ugly truth. Lilith in Sagittarius would much rather be an outcast living her authentic truth in the wilderness than a beloved figurehead living a beautiful lie. When these two primordial forces collide in a square, something has to give. And what gives is the illusion. The illusion that you can have true love without absolute freedom. The illusion that being a good person means suppressing your wild, primal nature. The illusion that your forbidden desires are something to be ashamed of rather than something sacred to be honored. This square is the universe's way of declaring that you cannot truly love another if you are not truly free within yourself. And this is where the situation becomes dangerous, because forbidden desire in the year 2026 is not what you think it is. We need to look at what forbidden desire actually means in this new era and why yours is suddenly surfacing with such ferocity. When most people hear that phrase, they immediately think of illicit affairs, scandalous attractions, or taboo relationships. And yes, for some, this transit will manifest in that way. But that is merely the surface level of the energy. The real forbidden desire that Venus square Lilith unleashes is far deeper, more radical, and much more terrifying. It is the desire to be your true self within the context of love. Think about the architecture of your life for a moment. How much of your current relationship is a carefully curated performance? How much of your daily energy is spent being the good partner, the understanding one, the person who never rocks the boat or makes things difficult? How often do you swallow your most jagged truths just to maintain a fragile harmony? How many times have you felt a sudden flash of anger, a surge of lust, or a wave of wildness, only to immediately suppress it because it didn't fit the narrative of who you are supposed to be? Venus in Pisces wants you to be the saint, the selfless, forgiving, endlessly compassionate partner who loves without conditions. Lilith in Sagittarius wants you to be the sovereign, the uncompromising free agent who belongs to absolutely no one. This weekend, these two powerful archetypes go to war inside your psyche, and the primary battlefield is your most intimate relationship. The forbidden part of this equation isn't necessarily about who you are attracted to, it's about what you are no longer allowed to want. Maybe it's the forbidden desire for more space, more independence, or more adventure outside the domestic sphere. Maybe it's the desire to be angry without the immediate obligation to forgive. Maybe it's the desire to prioritize your own soul's growth over your partner's comfort. Or maybe for some, it is the forbidden desire to simply leave. What makes this weekend so volatile is that you aren't just feeling these desires in the abstract. You are being given the cosmic permission to act on them. Saturn in Aries is currently structuring your inner courage, giving you the spine you've been missing. The moon in Aquarius is cooling your guilt, allowing you to act without the paralyzing weight of emotional obligation. And on Monday morning, the sun squares Uranus, creating a lightning bolt moment where everything you've been suppressing suddenly erupts into visible action. If you have been feeling restless lately, this is why. Your soul has been preparing for this exact moment. The part of you that knows you cannot keep living this half-life has been gathering its strength, And this weekend, it is finally ready to speak its name. However, not everyone will experience this the same way. 3 specific signs are positioned uniquely to transform this intense tension into a new kind of love freedom. If you are one of them, your life is about to change forever. Sign 1. Pisces, the saint who becomes the sinner. Pisces, let's be honest with ourselves, you've been playing a role, haven't you? With Venus transiting your first house of identity right now, you have become the literal embodiment of the perfect partner. You are magnetic, alluring, and deeply romantic. People are naturally drawn to your softness, your empathy, and your uncanny ability to make them feel seen and accepted. You are the dream they've been searching for. But Black Moon Lilith, squaring you from your 10th house of career and public image, is revealing an uncomfortable truth. You are trapped by your own reputation. Everyone sees you as the sweetheart, the healer, the one who forgives and gives until there is nothing left. You have built your entire identity around being that person. But underneath that soft exterior, there is a part of you that is exhausted by the saintly act. A part of you wants to be powerful, controversial, and even difficult. Your forbidden desire this weekend is to shatter your own pedestal and climb down into the dirt. Maybe it's the desire to pursue someone who would absolutely scandalize your social circle. Maybe it's the urge to blow up a relationship that everyone else thinks is perfect because you are secretly suffocating inside of it. Maybe it's the primal need to be seen as complicated, messy, and human, rather than just an endless fountain of unconditional love. Lilith in your 10th house is asking, who are you when you are not performing goodness for the world? Venus in your first house is terrified of the answer, but Sunday's square forces the confrontation. Monday's Sun, Uranus, square in your 12th house acts as a psychic jailbreak. The masks fall away, and you can no longer pretend. Your freedom comes from realizing you don't have to be a martyr to be loved. Those who only love your nice side don't love you at all. They love their fantasy of you. Sign 2. Sagittarius, the caged wild horse. Sagittarius, you are the one carrying the Lilith energy directly in your first house of self, which means you are the literal embodiment of the forbidden and the untamable right now. But here is the problem. Venus is squaring you from your 4th house of home, family, and roots. You feel it, don't you? That suffocating pull toward domesticity that feels more like a lead weight than a safety net. Maybe it's a partner who wants cozy nights in when your soul is screaming to be out exploring the world. Maybe it's family obligations that anchor you to one place when you need movement to breathe. Your forbidden desire is simple and terrifying. You want to run. Not metaphorically, but literally. You want to pack a bag and reclaim your freedom. The taboo here is that you are supposed to want stability and commitment. But right now, those things feel like chains. Lilith in your first house is screaming, I am not a houseplant, I am a wild horse. This weekend, you find your love freedom by realizing that a home that acts as a cage is actually a prison. With Saturn entering your 5th house of romance, you are being asked to structure your life around your joy, not your duties. You stop apologizing for your need for space. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's vision of what a home should look like. Your freedom is not a luxury, it is your oxygen. Sign 3. Aquarius, the rebel who chooses themselves. You are in a unique position because the moon enters your sign on Sunday, lighting up your identity just as the sun prepares to square Uranus in your 4th house. You are the center of this storm, but the Venus-Lilith square is hitting your second house of values and your 11th house of community. You are feeling alienated from your tribe. You are the sign of the collective, but right now, Lilith is making you the black sheep of your own friend group. Maybe your values are shifting in ways your friends don't understand. Your forbidden desire is to defect, to choose your own self-worth over the approval of your community. This is hard because belonging matters to you. But what happens when belonging requires betraying your soul? This weekend, you find the courage to say, "I don't care what you think." Your love freedom comes from detaching from the need for external validation. In choosing yourself, you actually become the visionary leader your community needs. But you cannot lead a revolution if you are still bound by the opinions of the status quo.
What about the rest of the Zodiac?
You are not off the hook.
Aries.
With Saturn entering your sign, you are sobering up and getting serious about your true identity. A secret fantasy in your 12th house clashes with your new, disciplined beliefs.
Taurus.
Uranus in your sign squares the sun, creating high volatility. A friend may suddenly become a lover, or a deep secret about money and sex might finally surface.
Gemini.
Venus in your 10th house squares Lilith in your 7th. Your partner might be threatening your professional image, or you find yourself desiring someone who doesn't fit your brand.
Cancer.
You are feeling the push and pull between a desire for expansion and the daily grind. You want to escape, but Saturn says you must build a career that allows for freedom rather than just dreaming about it.
Leo.
This is intensely erotic for you, a forbidden desire for a sexual experience that defies your romantic rules is surfacing. Deep, transformative intimacy is calling your name.
Virgo.
Venus in your 7th squares Lilith in your 4th. Your partner is clashing with your family or living situation, and you are being forced to choose between the two.
Scorpio.
A clash between romantic fun and your self-worth is occurring. You might desire someone who is bad for your wallet, or you are realizing you've been selling yourself short.
Capricorn.
Saturn enters your 4th house, shifting the foundations of your home. A subconscious secret wants to be spoken, and freedom comes from telling the taboo truth.
Every sign is being tested.
Every sign is being asked to examine the gap between who they pretend to be in love and who they actually are. The lightning strike arrives on Monday morning. If Sunday is the pressure cooker, Monday is the explosion. At midnight on February 16th, the Sun in Aquarius forms a precise square with Uranus in Taurus. The Sun is your conscious ego, your story. Uranus is sudden, shocking liberation. When they square, your identity gets electrocuted in the best way possible. This is the trigger that ensures the internal tension becomes a reality with consequences. This is the text sent in anger that cannot be taken back. The sudden decision to move out, or the confession that changes everything. It is the moment the protagonist does something out of character that is actually completely in character. They were just too afraid to show it before. You have Saturn in Aries giving you a backbone, the Moon in Aquarius giving you detachment, Venus Lilith giving you the desire, and Sun Uranus giving you the courage to act. The universe has lined up the dominoes, and on Monday morning, it flicks the first one. Who will you be on the other side? The change won't feel dramatic in the moment, it will feel inevitable. You won't wake up feeling like you made a mistake. You'll wake up feeling like you finally stopped lying to yourself. The people who experience love freedom this weekend won't be the reckless ones. They will be the honest ones. They are the ones who stopped performing a version of love that was killing them and started honoring their own truth. For some, this means the end. For others, it means a radical restructuring. But the feeling will be the same: relief.
Because the ultimate truth of the Venus-Lilith square
Is this: you cannot give real love from a caged heart. All the compassion in the world means nothing if it comes from someone who is betraying themselves. Love given while suppressing your truth is not love. It is a transaction or a performance. Lilith doesn't want you to be good. She wants you to be real. Sustainable love can only come from a place of freedom, a place where you are allowed to be complicated, messy, and contradictory. This weekend breaks the cage. It might hurt, and people might be shocked, but you will be free. And true freedom is the only foundation for a love worth having. The cosmic weather is charged. Don't waste it. Don't let fear or guilt keep you in a situation that is suffocating your soul. The universe is giving you permission to be who you are. The only question is, are you brave enough to take it?
The dust
Eventually settles, and the echo of that cosmic cannon reverberates deep within the chambers of your heart. This weekend was never just an event to observe from the sidelines. It was a profound internal reckoning. Now, as the planetary squares loosen their grip, the real work of integration begins. Freedom is not the absence of constraints, but the conscious choice of which constraints serve your highest truth. The relief you feel on Monday is the quiet dawn of self-acceptance. It is the peace that descends when you stop battling your own soul and acknowledge the wild currents beneath your curated existence. For some, this integration manifests as a newfound clarity in existing relationships. Perhaps the brutal questions asked by Venus and Lilith revealed a hidden strength in your partnership, a willingness to dismantle illusions and rebuild on a foundation of radical vulnerability. This isn't about throwing everything away, it's about identifying the genuine connections and reinforcing them with honesty. For others, the path leads to separation. If your relationship was built on the suppression of your truth, then the Sun-Uranus moment was the final, decisive cut. While the aftermath can be painful, remember, you cannot give real love from a caged heart. The grief is natural, but beneath it is the quiet assurance that you chose yourself. The ingress of Saturn into Aries is a foundational blueprint for the next 2.5 years. Saturn is the cosmic architect, and in Aries, he demands individual courage and a pioneering spirit. You aren't just feeling free, you are being asked to build freedom. This means creating structures that ensure you never again compromise your core self. This could involve financial independence, setting new and shocking boundaries, or taking purpose-driven action that defines who you are rather than who you should be. This is a marathon, not a sprint. The initial burst of courage from Venus and Lilith gives you the impetus, but Saturn in Aries provides the stamina to maintain this new state of being. You are learning to be your own stern but loving guide. You will encounter resistance, as not everyone is ready for your truth. Some will find your authenticity threatening. But it is easy to be brave in a moment of cosmic intensity. It is much harder to sustain that bravery in the face of daily misunderstanding. Stay the course. Your freedom is the foundation of your future. Recall that deep, resonant sigh of liberation that washed over you. It wasn't just a fleeting emotion, but a navigational signal. That relief is your internal compass, pulsing with the truth of your direction, every time you honor the sacred, unspoken contract you made with your soul. Your authenticity is now a beacon, a blindingly bright flare that might initially overwhelm those used to your dimness. But do not turn it down. The individuals meant for your life, those who cherish the heartbeat of your true essence rather than the convenient shadow they projected onto you, will eventually find their way to this raw, unfiltered version of who you are. And as for those who slip away, let them go. Their exit, though it may sting like an open wound, is the very thing that carves out the necessary space for new connections that celebrate your entire spectrum, welcoming the darkness and the light rather than just the parts they find easy to swallow.
Understand that this metamorphosis
Is not a finish line crossed on a random Monday morning, but the inauguration of a lifelong pilgrimage. It is the conscious, persistent choice to thread your actions through the needle of your deepest desires, not merely in the theatrical displays of change, but in the subtle, rhythmic decisions that color the tapestry of your daily life. It is the realization that love is never a transaction where you amputate pieces of your spirit to fit into the narrow confines of someone else's expectations. True love is the courage to bring your entire, chaotic, and magnificent self to the table, while holding open the door for another beautifully flawed person to do the exact same.
The universe
Has provided the spark, the sudden catalyst for change. Now, the burden and the beauty of the work rest with you. You must become the alchemist, tending to the fire that burns away the dross of your old life to forge the raw substance of your longings into a reality and a love that is fiercely, unapologetically, and undeniably your own. This is the bedrock of a freedom that will not crumble under the weight of the world. This is the moment you truly begin to exist.